Okay, so I am so delighted to have Kylie Patchett here with us today. Kylie is one of those women that just oozes energy, and I came across her by accident last year. I think the universe delivered you in this beautiful, bubbly package. It was amazing. So I'd spent a bit of history for me. I'd spent over $20,000 on coaching and courses, and I had all this knowledge. I was oozing with knowledge, but I wasn't implementing anything, and I kept sabotaging and self-sabotaging everything I was doing and everything I wanted to create. So enter Kylie Patchett, thank you, lovely, who really helped me see the bullshit stories that I was creating and helped me dive a little bit deeper into them as to why they were there in the first place. Yeah. So thank you. So I wanted to bring Kylie in today to help you guys bust through some of the stuff that I know is there, because we all have it. We all go through it. And I mean, Kylie, you see this on a daily basis. I see this on a daily basis in my own work and in the work that I do with clients. So I think it's a really good opportunity for us to take people through, I guess, the process that you've helped uncover for people, and just help people understand why it happens and what they can do about it. So Kylie Patchett, mindset coach for women entrepreneurs. Welcome. Thank you for coming.
Thanks so much for having me. I always say, excuse me, I could talk about mindset until the cows come home, and now I live on a farm, so I'm quite literally talking to you whilst the cows come home. No. You're totally right. I have a similar story. You know, just because I'm a mindset coach doesn't mean I'm immune to mindset wobbles. I think that you teach best what you need to land. Yeah. Let's just get that out there right now. But I think that, you're right. I do see these amazing women in business that have these amazing gifts, amazing superpowers, and they've learnt all the stuff that they need to do. They've learnt, marketing and the copywriting and all that sort of strategy stuff, but there's still something that's stopping them taking action, or they're in these cycles of like crazy action taking interspersed with complete fear, doubt, self-sabotage, can't do anything for weeks at a time. And that's actually more common, I have to say. Like, so we often have these, we're going to take action and then something happens, whether it's a story we tell ourselves or maybe someone says no in a sales conversation, whatever it is the trigger. And then it's all just like, that's it. I'm taking my bat and my ball and I'm going home. I can't do it anymore.
Find me in the corner.
Yeah, exactly. And, I noticed the same thing in my own practice. I started off, my background's like health and medical management and medical science. And I did a lot of executive and leadership coaching when I was in kind of my corporate, days. But when I started my own business, I just screwed with my head so much about putting myself out there, charging money, am I really an expert, etc. So, this, if anyone's listening and thinking, I just get in my way all the time, just know it's part of the process. I think my mastery for women entrepreneurs is just a skill that you need to, and it's one of the ones that a lot of people just go, oh no, I don't need that. I'm like, if you don't,
I just need to sign up to this Facebook ads course and then I'll be right.
Yeah, exactly. I'm looking for the magic pill. That coach will fix it for me, or, doing B school will fix it for me, or, just picking B school is one of the things that's around a lot lately.
It's on everyone's radar at the moment. It's everywhere.
Yeah, exactly. And it's not the thing. The thing that it always comes back to is your mind aligned to the success that you want to create? Yes or no? Because if it is aligned, then you will get that success. You're already on the path to it. But if your mind is telling you, I'm not ready, success equals sacrifice, or I'm going to screw this up, or whatever it is, it's very hard to make your business work, like really, really hard. So, forgive me,
I used to find I would say the right things. This is what I want. This is what I'm doing. But it wasn't happening. And then internally when I checked in, it was like, hang on a minute, there's a bit of confusion here. Like, I'm saying this is what I want and I'm doing things to get there, but then I'm self-sabotaging in every other way possible. Like, I knew the fear was there, but I was really good at calling it other things and making up plenty of excuses. I'm not scared. This is the XYZ of what's happening today, just to stop me from doing that next bit that I need to do. I mean, one of the things, I put a poll out to some of my community and said, what's holding you back? And it was really a little bit sad, but really warming to know that we're all going through the same stuff. And it doesn't actually end. So even when you understand it and you know that you can take yourself through it, once you've identified it, it still keeps coming up. So it is, like you said, it's a practice, it's a muscle that we have to work through.
It
so
is.
in your view, why do you think that we want to keep trying to keep ourselves small? Because that's one of the common themes that come up.
So many reasons. And the first thing that leaps out of my mind is, were you ever given the impression or the intimation as a little person that it was good for you to be good at something or better than something? Were you ever given the message, don't talk like that, you know, it sounds like you're arrogant, or it sounds, you know, don't be so showy. I was definitely told, don't be so loud, don't be so enthusiastic, like take it down a notch, because, and I got the impression, and I don't, like, my mum and dad never told me this, but I got the impression, and this is the thing about mindset, right? It's not exactly what you're being told, it's the meanings you make of what happens in, especially in the early years. But I made being told, don't be so loud, don't be so bossy, as I'm just too much. Like, I'm too much. I'm making people feel bad about themselves, or people won't like me if I'm as friendly and enthusiastic and bubbly as you know, I've always been like this. Like, so it was kind of like this mismatch between, I've got all this joy inside of me and all this passion and all this desire to help people, but I got the message that I need to kind of like just keep it, like, take it down a peg. Don't be so much like that. So I think for me, that's definitely a playing small thing. Like, every time I do something and your first impulse is to want to share it with people, but I've still got a voice in my head that says, people are going to think you're arrogant. People are going to, like, if someone's not as far ahead as what you are, they're going to feel bad and think you're a bitch. Like, you know, that's not, swear. I think that's number one. I think the second thing too is that a lot of women are actually scared of their own power. Like, we are scared to be as magnificent and powerful and magnetic as we really can be. And this is definitely something I see more in women than the males that I used to executive coach. Obviously, women entrepreneurs versus males in corporate, you know, two different breeds of cattle, but men are quite cool generally. Being the fullest version of themselves. Sometimes a little bit too full. To feel fully in power, it's almost like, I don't know, does it go against the society conditioning of what a woman is like? Like, there's some, I definitely didn't get that much cultural sort of, you know, breeding of like women can't do as much as men. I definitely receive that myself, but I know for a lot of my clients that's definitely there. Like, your role as a woman is to nurture others and hold space for others and be there for others, but as a support person rather than the person who's shining, sort of thing. So I
think there's so much competition around what we need to be, and there's so much confusion because we can be so many things, but we never kind of know which one to go after. We think we need to do it all, and then we never do anything properly, and then we feel like another complete failure.
Exactly. And, you know, it's that whole sort of tension between, you know, I've had my own business for 4 years, going into my 5th year in business. I've also got 2 daughters. I also was a full-time carer for my dad. I also obviously am a wife to my husband. So there's all these competing arenas, I guess, that I get to play in, which I feel very blessed to do. But I do often get the feeling like, if I do one really well, then something else is going to be sacrificed. Actually, that's a really big thing. They're playing small. I see this a lot. The fear of success, and, you know, people say, I'm not afraid of success. Like, that's ridiculous.
Bring it on.
Yeah, exactly. Except that if you say that and then you've got this but in your head, like the but voice, you know, the fear voice, or the lizard brain, as I call him, often the success is tied in our heads to something that we don't want to let go of. So for me, definitely, I had great evidence that when I was in corporate, I managed sleep and respiratory companies. So I had a lot of opportunity to work literally 24-hour shifts because we work the day, we work overnight, training staff. And I did that when I was pregnant with my daughter. Like, I look back and go, oh my God. Talk about Overworkers Anonymous, Overachievers syndrome, definitely an overpreneur. That's one of my anti-entrepreneurs. But I think for me, I received so much evidence to say success equals sacrificing my health, my family time, my sanity. I talk about that a lot, even in the copy on my website, is this idea that success has to mean that you have to give something up. And I don't actually believe that anymore, but I definitely think that that's a big flavor of the playing small, that if I get as successful as I truly desire, if I get as powerful as what I really am as a woman, what does that mean? Am I going to leave people behind? Does it change my relationship with my husband? Does it make me a worse mother? All this.
Yeah, I know. It just, I mean, I used to have that issue whereas I was in corporate, earning a big fat paycheck, totally miserable in what I was doing. You know, by the end of it, I was so burnt out and I couldn't figure out why. I was like, well, why? On paper, everything looks beautiful. But I was so busy and putting so much energy in trying to be someone else that I forgot who I was. So when I transitioned out of that and said, look, I know I need to let that go, my realization is I don't need to be here anymore.
Yeah.
But going on to the other side and ticking all the boxes of the fulfillment and the happiness and being actually with my kids instead of on the other end of a phone in the office all the time. I didn't equate that to the paycheck. I'm like, well, I have to give up the money to have this life. And that took me a while to actually identify, because I thought, well, if I want the money, I can't have the joy and the fulfillment and the kids. But if I want the joy, fulfillment of the kids, I can't have the money. So I had to, so that was a real big one for me as well. I think
how's that for? Yeah, and that is a perfect example actually of what a lot of us do in mindset, of saying that two things are mutually exclusive.
Yeah.
So I can't have a successful business. I definitely know, I've shared just on my blog just recently about my own weight loss journey this year, and having a really big weight loss goal, feeling very ashamed of having to, say again, I've got 25 kilos to lose and all of that stuff. But one of the mindset stuff that came up for me definitely was, I can't have a successful business and earn really healthy money and be fit and healthy and comfortable with my body. So just like you've said, like there's no win there. I can't be a present mum and earn money. I can't earn money and be a present mum. It's just like, well, you've screwed yourself over before you even start. Like it's guaranteed failure.
I figured it out now, but it took a while, I tell you.
Yeah, and same thing. And it's funny how, I would say to anyone listening, the reason why I talk so much about mindset is that, I've done a lot of business coaching and strategy coaching, and that's kind of my background anyway. But just as it is with either weight loss or business strategy or whatever, I don't care what plan you've got. It's your ability to stay focused and committed to the plan. And that's where the mindset starts to, make people wobble. They either have these big visions, but they have no idea how to, the day-to-day of the big vision, or, so there's so many layers to this stuff. And I think, the most important thing to remember about mindset is just your view of yourself and the world. But we would swear, each of us, you, me, and everyone else listening, would say this version of the world is reality. But the reality is that none of those are reality. It's just our set of expectations, beliefs, behaviors that breed a picture of reality, just one. And so I would always say to people, like, if you don't like what is your reality right now, so if you don't have enough clients or you are overweight, like whatever it is that you're wanting to change, you need to look at what beliefs are holding you in that place, because it will always be connected to what you believe, which drives your behaviors, which creates your reality, in inverted commas.
And I think that can go way, way back. I remember last year I was having a conversation with my sister. And we were talking about the mindset stuff and what's going on and what's been holding us back over the years and all of these things. And it was a really open and beautiful conversation. But we were talking about a particular scenario when we were growing up. And my version of it was totally different to her version, yet it was exactly the same event. It was exactly the same circumstances. We just looked at each other going, oh, my God, like how long have we been carrying this with us? And neither one is probably correct either. It was our interpretation at the time. Yeah,
that's an amazing thing too about mindset. And, being a parent, like I've got two girls 12 months apart. I know you've got two children. Like anyone who's a parent that has two, obviously by definition, different little people in the house, or you've been a part of, family with siblings or whatever, even if you don't have your own kids. We are meaning-making machines, and we make decisions about the world very early, between 0 and 8, and then to a lesser extent 8 to 14. And when you actually say one thing as a parent, one child will make a meaning of it that gives a positive or negative outcome for them, and the other one will have a completely different meaning of it. And for both of them, it's reality. And this is kind of the gap, I guess, when you're talking about mindset and relationships as well. Like, you can swear black and blue that your version of what's happening is absolutely truth, but it is only your truth. Yeah, I know. Isn't that fun? That's just the complicating part of a relationship. But yeah, it's fascinating how what we believe predicts what we will end up with in reality. That it fascinates me on all levels. I just started rereading Think and Grow Rich I've probably read it, I don't know, like 3 or 4 times now. And each time I read it, I get another kind of level of meaning, obviously, as I evolve and as my business gets bigger. But yeah, it all just comes back to perception, how you behave, and therefore what your outcome is. And it's quite astonishing.
I've read that book a couple of times, and I've also got an Audible, so I played it, the audio version in my car every now and then, just a little reminder.
Just let it sink in.
There was a really good quote I saw last night that I put on my page, and it was, don't believe everything you think, by Byron Katie, and I went, nailed it.
Yeah, totally.
So true. So when we go back to the business side of things, I mean, mindset is personal, business is everything. It encompasses everything we do. But from a business standpoint, I think one of the big things that I've seen people taking forward their ideas is need to compare to others. Like they say, well, who am I to do this? Someone else is already doing it. I'm not going to be as good as they are.
Yeah.
What do you say to that?
Oh my goodness, so much to say about that. So I have a quiz on my website that's called the Anti-Entrepreneur Quiz, and
very cool. I've done that one.
It gives people an idea of what their self-sabotage cycle is. So basically, I did coaching for 4 years. One rainy Saturday, I put together all of the patterns and the language and the behaviors and everything that I saw in hundreds of clients, literally, and grouped them into 7 groups, and they're the anti-entrepreneurs. One of them is the comparapreneur. It's probably one of the more common Achilles heels, particularly for women.
Yeah.
The breed of the comparapreneur spends most of her time looking outside of her business at what other people are doing and finding herself coming up short all the time. And she tells herself things like, it's already been done. Why should I bother? I'm never going to do it as good as her. Look at her amazing website. Look at my crappy website. Always comparing herself, first year in business to someone 15 years in business. That's the first thing I'd say to a comparapreneur. Consumes a lot of other people's information in business. Why are you laughing so much, Natasha?
Because I've been there. That's what I've got about 3 favourites, and I'm really good at her. I'm really good at her.
Yeah. I have a really good friend, a business friend who's a textbook comparapreneur. I'm like, I wrote this for you, because that's when she gets into a dodgy headspace, her immediate reaction, her knee jerk, is to go and look online and find someone who's doing it bigger, better, bolder than her, and just continually diminishing herself. So she just feels so little and small and worthless by the end of this binge of comparing. That it's like more evidence that it won't happen for her.
I think the big thing for me in overcoming that side of her that I used to step into quite regularly was just reminding myself that they're only letting me see what they want me to see.
Absolutely.
I'm not getting the whole story. And the more people I've worked with and the more people I've seen the behind the scenes to, people I really look up to, people that I think is, steps ahead, we're all in the same boat, and we put this projection out. And the thing with social media, we present a show reel of what's going on, but we don't see the behind the scenes. So with everyone that you're comparing yourself to, you have to step back and realise, hang on a minute, that's the show reel. You don't know what's really going on behind the scenes. The same as your scenario. You're not projecting every single thing that's going on.
Yeah, exactly.
So you've got to remember that, because it's so easy to see what's going on out there. And it might be that someone is, 5 years ahead of you. Well, give yourself a break. You're still figuring yourself out. You're still discovering what your thing is. And especially with the clients I work with in discovery coaching, we can't figure it out logically. We have to go and try things and stumble and fall over and then assess, okay, well, did that work? Didn't it? How did it feel to me? Like, I don't have to be like that person, because that's not me.
No. And do you know that the other thing that I really want people that compare a lot to hear is by putting someone else on this pedestal of the show reel. So it's not even a real life comparison at all. Like, you're totally ripping yourself off. Putting someone up on a pedestal, by definition, you're saying, I am less than that person. That is such a flawed way of looking at yourself. And I just want everyone to hear, like, just by virtue of the fact that you were born, like, you don't have to qualify. Just because you were born, you are worthy innately. There's no question about it. You don't have to prove it. You don't have to have a pretty website. You don't have to be 18 years in business. You don't have to have a 7-figure business. You don't have to have a 6-figure business. Like, any of that bullshit that we tell ourselves that I'll be happy and worthy when, like, you know, fill in the blank, when you get, you know, your first $10,000 month, or when you blah de blah, write for HuffPo or whatever, like whatever the carrot is that you're giving yourself. That's the first thing. And the second thing is, you if this is a trigger for you, you've got to stop consuming other people's information. Like,
I go through massive unsubscribing sessions when I'm feeling that again, when it's sneaking back up. It's like, sorry.
You got to just keep your eyeballs on your own lane, because what I see a lot of the time, if people are comparing, is the slippery slope is you consume so much of other people's information, you don't even know who you are and what you're about, because you're so full of all this external stimuli that, you know, you can't. And often when I started coaching, you know, if I'm working with someone one-on-one and I say to them, you know, we always are asking what the sort of self-sabotage cycles are and working that out in the first session. And when I say, you know, can you tell me who you are and what your business is, the comparapreneur is the one that has the most trouble giving me a clear answer to that, because they've got so much information and stimulus from all different directions. They can't actually tell me what it is that they do generally. And then also the self-sabotage cycles are always driven by a fear. And the fear that underpins a comparapreneur is very much about, I need you to love and accept and approve of me. I physically need you to love, accept and approve of me. So they will often have been taught early on that the way that they are is not okay unless they do it a particular way. So, you know, sometimes it's a parent or a sibling or whatever. I know specific person I'm thinking about definitely learnt about herself that she had to be the good girl, the one that did the right thing to be okay in the world. And so she's always looking external to herself, because she's never been taught that the way that she does it and the way that her heart has for her is okay. Like, there's this complete disconnection for her. So I'd always be asking yourself, like, what drives this need to make yourself less than everyone else? Like, what is it that, you know, is always out there pushing in on you?
I think the other thing that people forget is they don't value the knowledge or the experience that they already have. They think they need more and more and more. Like, I'm not ready yet. I'm not good enough yet. But they don't value that what they've already learned and what they're already doing is really, really valuable for a lot of people. So I would naturally do all these things and think it's easy. Everyone does that, until I started realizing that, not everyone can do that. It's just identifying what our natural style is and our natural way of doing and being, and that's okay. That's something that other people are looking for.
Yeah, absolutely. The superpowers thing, like, we always talk about that. What are your superpowers? And superpowers are things like, you know, for me, definitely one of my superpowers is communicating verbally. Like, I never thought that was a superpower. I just thought that I talk too much.
You've been practicing for years.
Exactly. I've been practicing for 41 years now. But, you know, I always thought that was just something everyone could do, just get up on stage and talk about something, you know, just from the heart and communicate to people complex, especially when I was back in science, like complex things or mindset things that are complex, and make them into understandable chunks that people can walk away with. And when you're talking about superpowers, it's always something that comes so naturally to you. It's like breathing. So you just go, oh, that's not important. That's like everyone can do that. No, not everyone can do it. You know, you've got to really learn to value those things that come naturally. And I would definitely say for comparapreneurs, stop putting yourself in harm's way by being on 200 mailing lists. Like, use Unroll Me or something like that on an unsubscribe trip, and just make sure that you're really selective with who you actually let into your consciousness, because, you know, if you do have that tendency for that sort of self-sabotage, the best way of dealing with it is just not to trigger it anymore until you have a little bit more certainty of self, like, especially when you're first in your business. Like, you know, I know when you're in your business, you want to be subscribing to everything because you're scared you're going to miss out on something, but
I did that. I had like over 3,000 emails sitting there for just in case. I'll just refer back to that later.
Oh my God, that makes me feel.
I know. And then but I thought, I'll go back to that and get some ideas for this, or I might need that later. And I just had enough one day, so I went through and just deleted everything. I didn't actually go through and read any of it. I just deleted everything. And you know what? I didn't die. I'm still here. It's okay. I actually slept really well.
Yeah.
So it just cleared some space for my own ideas instead of everyone else's. So I think that's a big one as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And we all know that as soon as we need something, we can Google it and we'll find it in 2 seconds anyway. Like
Absolutely.
It's not like it's gone for good. If it disappears in the inbox, it's not,
And when I believe that when you need something, that information will show itself.
Definitely.
And I've proven that to myself more than many occasions. You put it out there. This is what I need. That's how I found you. I needed someone to get me through this crap. And Kylie appeared on my screen about a day later. I'm like, who is this woman? One of the other ones I'm really familiar with and that I'm still working on is the perfectionism. That old nugget of it's not fear. I just need it to be a little bit better.
Yep. The perfectpreneur is one of my favorites. I actually really love the picture that we picked for the perfectpreneur because she's down on her, eye level to grass, cutting it with scissors.
Yeah.
It's that sort of like it's procrastination through perfectionism, first of all. But again, the fear that drives it is I'm just not good enough. So my work has to be 1000% perfect before I can put it out there because otherwise people will feel that it's not good enough or it doesn't measure up or doesn't have enough expertise behind it. I actually had hilariously a person send me an email in the last week with every single page of my website marked up and edited. So I am the queen of typos, as you well know from working with me. I do not type well. I didn't want to learn touch typing because there was a nun that I didn't like teaching me in school. So I said, I will never need to touch type. Anyway, she had edited my entire website and like 40 pages or something ridiculous, and sent it to me and said, I'm happy to edit, to do the live edits for you. And I actually sent something back to her and said, thank you so much for taking the time. A little bit like, why would you do that? But anyway, thank you for taking the time. I believe in the Persian flaw. And the Persian flaw says that only the universe or God, whatever, insert your belief system here, can be perfect anyway. So for a human to chase perfectionism is ridiculous. And so people that make those amazing, intricate Persian rugs put in deliberate flaws in them because they don't try to be godlike or universe-like, right? And I just said to her, read up on the Persian flaw. I actually believe that the message and the intention behind what I say and what I offer to the world is far more important than the perfectionism behind getting it exactly right. Now, obviously, she's a copy editor. She's not going to agree with me at all, but that's my internal belief. And I think that that's a good example of how the perfectpreneur will get in the way because they attach the worth of their work to the perfection of their work. And that's completely a belief system.
And I think when you let go of that and you understand that it takes so much pressure off and you can actually go and do, you can actually implement something and put something out there instead of sitting on it for 6 months because it's not quite ready. Maybe later.
And, again, coming back to the playing small thing, these are all just fears that keep you safe, right? They're just your mind is designed to keep you safe. So if you've got a belief system that says if I put work out there and it's not perfect, people are going to reject me or they'll ridicule me or I'll be cut off from the pack or whatever it is that's the underpinning belief system, then your mind is going to stop you doing exactly that. And the perfectionism one is just a version of stopping doing that. So, these
it's kind of getting a bit old, isn't it? I think we're all guilty of it. It's like yesterday.
It's like Elizabeth Gilbert, she says in Big Magic something about, your fear is actually really boring. Like everyone has the same fear. So you can probably just put it down. Like it's really not important. I was like,
it's the same word every time. It just says no.
And the opposite of that is what if I put it out there and it's not perfect?
That's the one I'm having fun with at the moment because I did the no for so long and I'm like, well, maybe it could. What if? Let's go give that a go. The other one I keep coming up against is for myself initially and now with a lot of the people that I talk to and work with, etc., is the old confidence thing because they're trying something new. So the self-doubt engulfs them. It's like, but I've never done this before. So in corporate, in my role, I had 15 years in financial services. You get up and talk to national conferences, not a problem, whatever. If they didn't like me, it was the information of the company. It wasn't me, nothing to do with me. When you're doing your own thing and it's your own business and it's your ideas and someone doesn't like them or you think someone might not like them, it's like, ugh, like that really bites at you and that really stings, so you lose confidence.
Yep.
So,
Absolutely. Yeah.
yeah, what have you sort of come across on
Yes.
that front?
So I think a couple of things. First of all, the the underpinning mindset kind of equation you've got going on is if someone doesn't like me, I'm not worthy, which actually, when you logically think about it, is completely flawed. Like if someone doesn't like me, I'm just not their cup of tea. And I'm very cool with that these days. When I first started this, I would feel incredibly horrible to have some person unsubscribe or whatever. These days, if I'm not getting a significant amount of unsubscribes, I'm very aware that I'm actually tempering myself down, because I am I'm a full-on personality. I am loud. I am boisterous. I am, I swear a lot. I don't type well. Like, all these things make me someone's cup of tea, and someone just goes, oh my God, this woman is like way too out there for me. And that's what you really want out there, because if you're not getting those kind of polar things, I would say you're playing it too safe and you're a bit wishy-washy and you've got nothing for people to react to. That's the first thing I would say. Your ability to put something out there and for it to have great reaction, it comes back down to something that a mentor told me when I first wrote my first book. So 2012, I think that was. And I put it out and I got a couple of really, really amazing reviews from people that I thought at the time were like up in the sky on pedestal. And they gave great reviews, and that was lovely. And I remember in our next call, I said, oh, I'm so excited about this. Like, it must be good because they're saying it's good. And he said to me, Kylie, anything that you put out in the world, whether someone says it's amazing or someone says it's absolute crap, it's just their story of your contribution. And that made me go, wow. And it's kind of like the Buddhist thing, right? It's like the non-reactivity or non-attachment to anything, like enlightenment. So that's the first thing, is like really question, if you put it out there and someone doesn't like it, it doesn't matter. It doesn't mean it's not worthy or you're not worthy. That's the first thing. Second thing I would say is, we all know logically that if you've never done something before and you choose never to do anything new ever again, you're never going to have any experiences. You're never going to grow your business. You're never going to take leaps in your life that you've always wanted to, all of that sort of stuff.
There's no evolution.
Yeah, no evolution. And that really becomes very boring. And there's some people, and, this is not being nasty to these people. There is some people that are quite happy to not evolve. And that's cool. Sometimes I wish I was one of them, because
same.
It would be a little bit more pleasant. Like, you wouldn't constantly be at the edge of your comfort zone. But I know for me, I want to live a full expression of myself in this lifetime, and very aware that life is quite short. Like, we've had a lot of sickness and death around our family lately, and it just reminds you, like, I'm 41. My dad lasted until 91. Hopefully I've got another 50 years, but I might not. But, your brain is tasked to keep you safe, and your brain defines anything that you haven't done before as unsafe, because it has no data about it. That's exactly how it works. So if you're feeling doubtful or in fear or lacking in confidence, it just means you're at the edge of your known zone. I would say this is where you get to work up a muscle of self-belief, just like you would work up, muscle in the gym, of doing small things possibly to start with. I like to do, big jumps, but that's just me and my personality. But for a lot of people, small steps outside the comfort zone. So I've never done a video blog before. I'll try that. But then when you start doing that and you don't die and your head doesn't explode and, you don't have to sell one of your children or any of those horrible you realize that it's actually just your story of what is okay to do and what's not. And you get feedback, which your mind likes to say, yes, that was okay. It might have been a little bit scary, but it was okay overall. I didn't die. And then you take another step, and then you take another step. So it's just building that muscle of self-belief to say, you know what, I actually really want to feel powerful and confident in my business. And maybe I don't at the moment, but the only way to get there is to take action. Fear dissolves by action taking 100% of the time. Yeah. The only thing that fear likes you to do is stay inactive and stuck in the same place. That's its job. So if you take action, the fear dissolves. You might feel like you're going to vomit, and you might feel like your heart is going to beat out of your chest. That's okay. It's excitement.
No, that's so the fear and the doubt is stage 3 in the 5 steps of reinvention I go through. So realization, discovery, fear and doubt, and then action. Because if you're not trying to push through it and feel through it and learn from it, and then once you do something like the videos, once you've done your first few, that's your new comfort zone. You're like, okay. you can sit there for a little while, but you have to then push out again and go out again.
Yep, definitely. That's actually how I trick myself to go through the first stage of fear around something as well. So I will actually be doing something, just say, what's a good example? All right, pitching yourself to be, one of the things I'm doing at the moment is pitching myself as a paid speaker to much larger, conferences than what I have, delivered to before. So I'm comfortable on stage in 200 people. I've never done 1,000 people. So it's the next level sort of thing. So there's a lot of like, are you good enough? Like, can you really charge that much for a keynote? Blah, 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 blah. What I do to stop myself getting stuck in the fear of this next step, I go, well, after that, you're actually pitching yourself to overseas conventions and they're even bigger. Kind of like I just go, you don't even have time to worry about this first step because you know where you're going is actually that bigger step. So it kind of, I don't know, somehow
like that.
My brain into just don't worry about that bit. So it becomes the new normal much quicker than if you acclimatise. However, doing that for some personalities would freak people out and then they'd snap back down to not doing anything. So, that may not.
Yeah. I think with all of this, it is about, identifying your natural flow and your style and how much tolerance you have for change.
Definitely.
But knowing that story and knowing what the triggers are along the way as well.
Yep.
It was a really good thing that I went to see Elizabeth Gilbert in Sydney last week. Yay, so much fun. And Brene in the same week. It was a big week.
My goodness. I want to be like you.
I know, it was like one of my happy weeks, apart from all the driving, but it was a happy week.
Yeah.
Anyway, someone asked the question of Elizabeth at the end, what do you do if someone's got something out there and you just don't like it, or they don't like your work, or, what do you do? You're comparing and you're upset about it. Mm-hmm. And she said her friend Richard, who she writes about in Eat, Pray, Love, he had this really good mantra that he used to teach her. And she now, when she is comparing or she's upset or she's, worried about what other people are doing, it's like this, none of my business.
Yeah, yeah.
And I just thought that is brilliant because we're so busy worrying about what everyone else might think, could think, may think. It's none of your business. And you just, totally. So that was one of my little notes I wrote down, like, I'm going to remember that one. That's good.
I like that. But it comes back to the same thing of, someone else's opinion of me is none of my business. Same thing. Like it's nothing to do because people are judging you with their belief system, which is not yours anyway. So by definition, it doesn't even make sense. It's like they've got an apple definition of the world. You've got an orange definition of the world. And you're wondering in your orange bubble whether she likes you in her apple bubble. Like that, it just doesn't even make sense when you think about how it works. And I think too, the other thing is when you become non-attached to the outcome of anything in life or whatever, because that whether, and I did this definitely in a launch that I had last year, I definitely attached the outcome to whether I could feel good about myself in business, which a lot of people do. Like that's quite a slippery slope for us entrepreneurs launching something. This year, going into a new launch, I'm really noticing the difference between the mindset then and the mindset now because I have this really deep sense of peace that whether the launch does as well as what we would like as far as cash flow projections or doesn't do that well or does better, none of those things actually feel like they have any connection to my worth or my growth in my business. And it's that enlightenment. It's non-attachment because really freedom's a big driver for me. I'm always talking about more freedom, time freedom, wealth freedom, all that sort of stuff. Yep. One of the things that I realized last year when I went through what I would call a failed launch, which actually wasn't, but that's what I was doing to myself. That one of the things that I've grown to understand is that true freedom comes from self-mastery. So freedom is not something that comes externally, it comes internally, and it comes from a place of knowing that no matter what happens in business or life, your worth doesn't change. That your value, and also I would go one step further and say you're always supported by something bigger than us. I would call that the universe, but depending on your belief systems, that's something different. Having the faith that you're always where you need to be, it's always unfolding as it needs to be, and that to me that's being free because then curveballs are just curveballs. Then it's not something to add drama to, and it's not.
I think what I found with all the so-called hiccups along my path are that there's gold in the detours. Where I am now, I would never have found by doing the logical next step or doing what everyone else said I should do. I bucked against all that fear and everything else that was going against me to say, this is actually where I want to go, and this is what feels right to me. It's bloody hell, it's scary, but I'm just going to try. I'm just going to keep pushing. I'm just going to take that one more step and keep going and keep going. And look, some weeks I would take 2 steps forward and about 10 back, and that's okay. It's a process. But I think what you said about that mastery and learning to master the idea of what this mindset shuffle is, because, I mean, I think I introduced it to my word mind shit last year. Every time I went to mindset, I don't know, Freudian slip, I would say mind shit. And I'm like, oh, it's mindset. No, it's actually mind shit.
Yeah, it is.
So I've now introduced Mind Shit Monday into my Facebook group because it's just that's the game we play, or that's the game our mind plays. So it's identifying that and then taking the step back to say, hang on a minute, this is what's going on here.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I adored the work that I did with you last year. I mean, you opened so many windows of light for me. It was amazing. And the entrepreneurs, I think, are a really good tool for people to get to understand that they're not alone, and there's, you know, there's some understanding between behind what's going on here. So I know you've got a little challenge coming up, so I'm really excited. So you need to share that with us, because I think I'm going to redo it, because I think there's such good reminders.
Yeah.
Even when you do this work once, it's an ongoing thing. You have to keep into it, because
peeling the onion.
Yeah, exactly. You get to a new level and there's new fears that come up. You get to another one, and you've got to remind yourself about this stuff. So I'm going to be redoing the challenge again myself, but just for those that don't know about it yet, just fill us in on what's going on.
Yeah. So last year we had the first annual challenge. We had 1,800 people from all over the globe.
Amazing.
I know, completely blew my mind. What we've decided to do this year is to really concentrate on mindset. So, you know, we've talked about mindset the whole time, but the mindset for me, it's just so important to have the foundation of a healthy mindset to build all the strategy and all of the programs and all of the tools that you've got on top of it. So it runs the 14th to 18th. I'm just going to share my screen here because I've got a nice little funky little graphic, which, you know, graphic. It's called the Making Friends with Fear Challenge. Starts 14th to 18th, and the link there that you can see is actually Tasha's link to join us.
So yes, come and join with me.
bit.ly/MFWF, as in Making Friends with Fear. Tash. So it's basically, we have, my aim is for 3,000 people to join us this year. Very exciting. And we're kicking off 14th, which is just a week away from the time I'm recording it. Basically the end point for me of all the work that I do with women is for them to understand they've got the power to create what they want. And the first part of that is understanding the stories that you're telling yourself that are in the way between here and there. So that gap. Gap identification. So the challenge, we do 5 days. It's an email prompt each day, but what I really encourage people to do when they join is join the Facebook group, because that's where all the magic happened last year, with the ahas and the trigger moments for, one would have this big, and then it would set off this chain reaction for people, which was just fabulous. It was so fun. But really, it's just all about identifying the blocks that you have at the moment and really getting clear on what it is that you're making separate to you in business. So really understanding when you see someone who's, got a 6-figure business or whatever it is that you kind of think is that impossible dream for yourself, of really understanding the gaps between what you're telling yourself and how you're acting and how that person acts. And then finally walking away with a really, really clear picture of what you want your business to look like and a plan of how to get there. So it's a jam-packed 5 days. It was like, maybe we should make it longer, but the 5
I'm
days.
getting a little bit worn out just thinking about it.
I know. It was 21 days last year. That was just crazy.
I know.
Because it was super long.
But I think 5 is really doable, because I was part of the 21-day challenge, and I'll be honest, I didn't do every challenge.
Of course not.
It was a bit too much, because some of them you think, I just really want to dive into that, I'll come back to it. And we all know that that's, a great intention. So 5 days. Really
21 days is just much too much commitment for anyone, I find, because really when it's a free challenge, human nature, we have less of a connection with doing free stuff as we do with paid stuff. But that's why we want to make it short and sweet and really, really powerful. So I can't wait to get started again. It's one of the most favorite things that I've done before, where I just love getting groups of women together, because we all learn from each other, and you actually will walk away with the challenge understanding that fear is so freaking normal that it's boring.
Yes.
Like the Elizabeth Gilbert thing. But also that it's not just you that has transformed these ideas of yourself. So I guarantee that anyone that you see online, whether it's Tash or me or someone else out there that you go, oh, you know, she's got this amazing business, she's so much further ahead, will have been dealing with mindset stuff the whole time they've been in business. And probably what's happened is that they've just got used to dealing with the fear more readily and more, you know.
It's kind of that new level of comfort. You know the fear's coming and you know what to expect, and then you also know how to call the BS out on it as well a little bit and say, dude, let's try. Let's go through this.
As I call my I used to call my lizard brain Fran, but I've changed it to Brian now because Brian sounds better like a lizard. Anyway,
sounds a bit grumpy, doesn't he, Brian?
Yeah, he does. And I'm like, Brian, you need to put yourself over in the beanbag, you grab yourself a cup of tea because I'm totally doing this and I don't care what you say. So understanding, and that's actually one of the first days that we do is really having some fun with understanding what's the fear brain and what's actually you, and seeing that it is two separate parts of yourself, and that fear is just, you know, it's that the thing that wants to keep you playing safe and small, and it's okay, but it's also something that you can deal with.
I think one of the things that I've noticed in the work that I do with people is if they're not feeling scared, they're not on the right path. It's not important enough to them to go after it. If it's easy and it's comfortable and it's cruisy, nah, you're not going to make it. You're going to get down the track 6 or 12 months going, no, I'm bored again. I'm not in the right place. And I did that. I did the comfy, cruisy, non-fear invoking kind of business, and I did that for a while, but I was still had that same feeling of, might as well stay in corporate. Like, I'm not feeling it here.
There's no skin in the game, right? Like,
no, you don't grow and evolve unless you push through and actually feel through the mindset traps and all the fear that comes up with it. So I think, you know, having a nice juicy little challenge to, you know, reset everyone and get us on track and understanding what this stuff is all about is a really good idea.
Yeah.
So thank you. Kylie.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. You know, as I said, I could talk about mindset forever and a day. So I think the most important thing for everyone listening is just to understand that, like anything else in your business, mindset is something that you have to master. It's not an optional thing. Like, you can outsource copywriting, you cannot outsource self-mastery. You know, be able to do it yourself.
We can try.
Yeah, you can try, and you can definitely have someone guide you to do that. But when it comes down to it, you know, especially something like the challenge gives you the tools to walk away with to actually, you know, do it again and again yourself. So, and
you need that self-mastery for that 4 a.m. wake up. That's getting a bit boring. It's like, dude, come on, 4 o'clock again. Like, we need to deal with this ourselves now.
Yeah.
We can't be waiting for our coaching call in 2 weeks. Okay.
Oh God, no. And you don't want to be dependent on a coach anyway. That's my big thing. This is a journey that you've got to gift yourself. And I can definitely guide people, but it definitely is something that there has to be this ownership of, because you need to really anchor into what it is that you want to create and want it bad enough to go down the path of dealing with the fear. That's the thing that some people aren't ready to do that, and that's cool. But if you are, join the challenge, because it will definitely
shake things up a little bit.
Yep. Well, I do like to see that.
Well, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for your time today. Like I said, you've made a huge impact into me being able to push through a lot of those fears that I've had in the last 6 months to really go after what I want to be doing instead of what feels safe and comfy at the time. So, and, you know, it was a great excuse to get on the phone with you again and have a good catch up.
I loved it. Tash, so thank you very much for having me, and thank you.
No worries. Hello to you. I might see a few of you in the new fear challenge that I'll be signing up again for as well. Talk to you soon.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.